Have been celebrating the life-saving difference the flying doctor makes to those living, working and travelling in the outback. It's been an opportunity to reflect not only on Reverend John Flynn's original bright idea, but also on the men and women who've delivered the emergency medical services over the past 80 years. Megan Palthorpe went back to where it all began in Queensland's northwest and found the RFDS is now developing some important new preventative healthcare programs in remote communities.
There used to be a wild time when no policemen, no anything like that, you know. There used to be a wild time. You know, spears and boomerangs and things like that, they had to kill themselves out in the bush, and nobody's worrying about them.
Joseph Clarke ran away from home when he was in his teens to join the rouseabout cattlemen of the Northern Territory. He's witnessed dozens of men die out in the Never Never, horribly sick and with shocking injuries.
There was no doctors in them days. Don't matter where you are, they all died. Mother and fathers and everybody died. Because no one there to look after them. You know, there's no flying doctor, no service, nothing. In them days. Now the day is pretty good. It's beautiful, I reckon.
Come in, Joe.
Yeah.
Old Joe's been a very satisfied customer for 50 of the flying doctor's 80 years.
Good.
How have you been?
Oh, not too bad.
They first patched him up in the 50s after he was gored in the thigh by a bull's horn while he was working on a station near Cloncurry.
No numbness in them days. They just cut my meat up while I'm watching. The flying doctor, old Hubby Sutton, used to be an army doctor in Cloncurry. Oh, that was real nice, I reckon. Oh, I was good, feeling real well. Yeah, after one day, cut me up anyway.
He's got another appointment with the doctor today, though nothing quite so dramatic as his run-in with a bull. DAJARRA's a half-an-hour hop south of Mount Isa. It's been a regular stopover for the RFDS since the 1920s, when it was one of the first Aboriginal communities to benefit from these flying visits. DAJARRA used to be the largest cattle depot in the Southern Hemisphere. Hundreds of thousands of head a year were trucked in from across northern Australia and transferred to cattle trains for the trip to the coast. Rail's given way to road trains, and the once bustling livestock hub is all but deserted. In fact, Don Bowley is one of the few regular visitors.
So it's hard to breathe?
Hard to breathe.
He conducts a clinic here every Friday, and old Joe turns up most weeks.
I've been coming out here for sort of 12 years now, so I know most of the folks in DAJARRA and they unfortunately know me. But I think we have a very good relationship with our communities, both DAJARRA and all the other communities we go to in our area. We know the people quite well. We are their GP, so we get to know their story and we get to have the opportunity and the privilege to look after them, both in their good times and their bad times. And I think that's a great privilege and a great honour to do that. The challenge here is that it's a small centre. It's only got 500 people. It's 150 k's from the nearest decent hospital. So that, and the actual health facilities in the town amount to a small clinic with a single solo RN, a nurse, one health worker and one wardsman. So that's the whole team. That team has to provide all the ongoing care, chronic care, all the acute care, and all the emergency responses. That team runs the ambulance. There's no ambulance station here. There's no doctor or other person to call upon immediately.
Even the most basic healthcare comes with massive complications in remote Australia, especially delivering it to Aboriginal communities. According to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, 15% of Indigenous Australians who need a doctor don't see one, and 7% who need to get to a hospital don't get there. The figures reflect both their isolation and a lack of health awareness.
So I think we have a long way to go. I do, however, feel we have made some progress. I think there are a lot of people out there, both Indigenous and otherwise, working hard to try and improve the healthcare of Indigenous peoples. If you look at some places, there have been great advances. Other places, there's a fair way to go.
Because of this, the Royal Flying Doctors Service, most well known for its medical retrieval operations, has been forced to branch out beyond emergency healthcare and clinics and into preventative medicine as well.
Try that bottom line again for me.
Y, C, Z, E, T, H, D, L.
Good. Okay. Thanks, Tristan.
Megan Bradbury's position as a child health and clinical services nurse was created in January.
They're identifying child health as such a major health issue. They know that prevention is so important and the chronic diseases is impacting at a younger age. There's a lot of opportunity now to put more, there's more money available and there's more opportunity to focus on the children earlier, and that's where my new role has extended from. So it's still, we've always done child health, there's nothing different that we're doing, it's just that's all I do, which is great. I'm very lucky.
More than a third of Indigenous people suffer from eyesight problems, and at school that translates into poor levels of literacy and learning.
Good girl. Good concentrating. Ready? Concentrate again. Good. Well done. We're looking at vision to see that they can actually read the board and if there's any problems with their vision. Hearing's a major health issue for Indigenous people. Young kiddies as young as 6 months can have chronic ear infections, so we're looking to see if their ears are actually healthy, because if they haven't got healthy ears they're not going to be able to hear, to learn, and that then affects their speech and everything else.
These kids are also 3 times more likely to have hearing problems compared to other Australian kids. Middle ear infections and ruptured eardrums are extremely common and often go undiagnosed and untreated, causing irreparable damage to their hearing and language skills.
There's a lot of things in there.
There are 34 students from preschool to year 7 at the local school, and all of them get a regular flying doctor checkup as well.
We rely on those tests for assessment through the specialist teachers like the guidance officer and the speech pathologist. They have to have those kind of results before we actually go ahead with our assessment, so it's very, very important that we get this done. And it also is important in places like here where it's rural and more remote, because not everyone has vehicles to get into town to actually get these tests done themselves. So this is really important for us.
They'd like to do more of this sort of preventative medicine, but like healthcare across much of regional and remote Australia, the Flying Doctor struggles to find the right people.
We still have great challenges in recruiting people. It's not a job that a lot of people aspire to, so that there is obviously great challenges in recruitment, because people may not want to live a remote lifestyle. They may not want to live a lifestyle where you are on call a lot, and they may not want to live in a situation where the available services may not be as good as those in the big urban centres. Our challenge is, by the time a lot of people have got that experience, they are often attracted to other roles. They often have families, and they often want to stay in urban areas on the coast. So that's why it's hard to recruit people. And we rely heavily on both overseas trained people and on challenging recruitment within the country. So any RFDS section you talk to, their biggest challenge, I think, is recruiting people.
For some, working with the Flying Doctor is all they've ever wanted to do.
It is still very respected, and people know that it takes a sort of special person to do it, because you have to have so many different experiences to get the job in the first place. A lot of people sort of just like one area, so they don't sort of generalise in a lot of areas. So no, it's still very respected.
Bruce Waller agrees. He's been flying the doctors around Queensland's northwest from their base here at Mount Isa for the past 6 years. He's seen the difference they make to the lives of the people who live and work out there, and he's convinced there'll always be a need for their unique brand of medicine. and the special connection they have with their patients.
I think the ethos is still there, but with the change in society, the RFDS has to change with it. So as people move out of the bush into the regional centres or the coastal centres, we have to, in a sense, move with them. But there are still plenty of cattle properties out there. There are still plenty of people on our roads who need the RFDS many times throughout the year. And the work is valuable, and I think that's still very much in keeping with John Flynn's goals.
They're real happy to me, and I'm happy to them. Yeah. Even the sisters and doctors and nurses, they're real good. They save people from dying and all that. Yeah.
Rob Pennicott.